Good morning. Today, the Subcommittee on Defense Appropriation meets to receive testimony regarding the operational energy programs of the Department of Defense and how the Department is incorporating climate change into strategic planning. I'd like to welcome our witnesses, Dennis McGinn, who is Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Energy, Installation, and Environment, Edward Morehouse, Jr., Acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Operational Energy Plans and Programs, Dr. Daniel Chu, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategy, and Brigadier General Kenneth Lewis, Director of Trans-Regional Policy and Partnership Strategy on the Joint Staff. Thank you. Energy is not often the first thing that comes to mind when we picture our military, but it's an increasingly important consideration. The Department of Defense is the largest energy consumer in America, spending roughly $20 billion a year to move people and equipment, sustain missions, keep installations running. Liquid fuel use is the main driver of these costs, totaling an estimated 111 million barrels of oil, including 9 million barrels in Afghanistan alone. In addition to financial cost, energy limitations also constrain our military's ability to project power. A Marine Corps forward operating base lasts only as long as its energy supply. Lieutenant General James Mattis, during Operation Iraqi Freedom, put it another way: unleash us from the tether of fuel. The Office of Operational Energy Plans and Programs, created in 2010 to coordinate operational energy programs, particularly efforts to reduce demand, expand supplies, and lead innovative research so that our warfighters can have lighter, more fuel-efficient equipment. These projects take many forms and are seen all around the country, underscore the Department of Defense willingness to make saving energy a standard operating procedure. The U.S. Transportation Command, based at Scott Air Force Base in my home state of Illinois, constantly working on the most effective, efficient ways to move troops and materiel. Researchers hard at work reducing the weight and improving the performance of the portable batteries that our soldiers carry. Navy participating in the Advanced Drop-in Biofuels Program with the goal of empowering a great green fleet in 2016. Ethanol and biodiesel fuel plants in Illinois, accounting for over 10,000 jobs and hundreds of millions of dollars in payroll. And the services are executing an increasing amount of energy-saving performance contracts for infrastructure improvements. A recent contract at Rock Island Arsenal in my state promises to reduce energy use by 35% and result in a $5.3 million annual savings in energy and operational cost. Every advance we make in this area is a win. It means safer supply lines, less weight to hike over mountain passes, and an increased ability to operate independently in a hostile environment. In an era of tight budgets, better stewardship of energy means there's more money for other critical defense priorities. The Department has also realized that climate change is a national security threat, and it's appropriate for the subcommittee to hear more about this risk and how it's being incorporated into our strategy. Climate change has been in the news in the last few weeks. 2 weeks ago, the U.S. Global Change Program released its third national climate assessment, again confirming that climate change is an immediate threat to the United States and the world. Last week, it was reported the collapse of the western Antarctic ice sheet is underway and likely irreversible. Last week, a group of 16 generals and admirals with hundreds of years of military experience between them issued a report entitled National Security and the Threat of Climate Change. It identified a number of critical considerations. What will the sea level rise mean for our military installations operating in all 50 states, 7 U.S. territories, 40 foreign countries? The report's image of what's left of Norfolk Naval Base after a sea level rise of a few feet is dramatic. How must our military adapt to continue to train and operate effectively? The report notes that 2 years ago at Fort Hood, drought had become so persistent on training grounds that to prevent wildfire, the military had to drench its artillery range with water from helicopters before practicing with high explosives. The Marine Corps base at Miramar has had similar restrictions for years. How are we planning for more extreme weather events? The report argues our National Guard will be even busier at home and that our combatant commanders will continue to see an uptick abroad, especially in the Asian Pacific. These concerns mirror those of our senior military officers and leaders. In 2008, the National Intelligence Council judged that more than 30 U.S. military installations were already facing elevated levels of risk from rising sea levels. Similarly, in 2010 and again in 2014, the Quadrennial Defense Review identified the effects of climate change as a risk that must be incorporated in defense planning. We look forward to hearing more about what that means for our troops. In conclusion, our military is unparalleled in its ability to execute a mission wherever, whenever necessary for our national security and to overcome any challenge along the way. These issues relating to energy and climate are no different, and I look forward to the views that will be expressed from this panel. Let me turn it over to my ranking member, Senator Cochran.